Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a book tag for you guys, namely the Stay at Home book tag. This tag was created by Madison Mary, aka Princess of Paperback. I will be leaving her original video in the description down below. Basically, this tag video was created about our current situation right now. We're currently all kind of quarantined, we're all at home, we're all staying at home, we're indoors, we can't really go anywhere. Even though these times, you know, may feel a bit difficult and a bit weird and a bit sort of odd and strange, and you can't meet up with people. This book tag was basically created as like a way for us all to like stick together during these times in the booktube community as well. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. If you have something that comes to mind when you're watching this video, I would love it if you would leave your comment in the description box down below, since I love hearing your guys' thoughts and interacting with you guys. But without further ado, let's jump right into this tag. So the first prompt is laying in bed. Haven't we all been doing this? Recently, I literally got up at, I was woken up at 11 and then I stayed in bed for another 45 minutes. So this is something that we can all relate to, and this question is a book that you could read or have read in one day. This answer was super obvious and came really fast to me when I saw this question, and it is none other than The Selection by Kiera Cass, which is actually ironically a book that I read again last week. I'm actually currently reading The Crown for the second time, and I literally got through each of these books: The Selection, The Elite, The One, The Heir, The Crown, and also through that Happily Ever After novella bind-up, all each in one day. This series is super lighthearted, it's fluffy, it's cute, it's fun. It doesn't take very long to get through each book. You can literally fly through them, you can fly through the chapters. They're also super addictive, so even if you've read them before or you haven't read it, it's a page turn. You just keep wanting to read more, and it's super fun. I'm super excited for The Selection to come out as a Netflix series, as I heard. I hope that we will be getting some updates soon after, this whole virus situation maybe, calms down a bit. It's super fun, quick to read, and it is also a perfect book to read while lying in bed. The second prompt is snacking. Also something that I can relate to. I recently had a birthday and my husband basically bought me a buttload of chocolate. So I have been snacking on that as well. I am a serious sucker for Kinder chocolates and Ferrero Rochers. I could literally just keep eating them. They're delicious. So I can relate to that, and the question that is related to this prompt is a book that is your guilty pleasure. I don't personally enjoy the concept of having a guilty pleasure book. I actually deleted that category off of my Goodreads list, I think a week ago or something, because I was going through my Goodreads bookshelves and I was deleting the ones that I didn't feel like were relevant anymore, and I had a guilty pleasures bookshelf on there that I used to put books in that I really enjoyed but that I knew that maybe weren't as highly esteemed as maybe some other books. And then it came to me that I know this is a popular concept that still gets thrown around, booktube and Goodreads and stuff, and I think that's absolutely fine. I will still call my guilty pleasures guilty pleasures. I just personally don't necessarily think that anyone should ever feel ashamed of a book that they enjoy. I think that we should always own up to the stuff that we enjoy and that we like. I think it's fine for someone to find a book not okay, or even for there to be a book that maybe isn't objectively this wonderfully written thing, but that you still love as a series or as a book. But I did go ahead and choose a book / a book series that I know a lot of people don't enjoy so much because they don't find themselves enjoying the writing style or the tone of the characters very much. But it is a book series that I fell in love with when I was growing up as a teenager. It is a book series that has gotten me through various stages in my teenage life, and as the series is still slightly ongoing, it is also a series that has stuck with me today and is still continuing me into adulthood. I'm currently now 24 and I started the series when I was 14, so it's actually the 10th anniversary of me starting the series for the first time, and that is none other than the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cass. As I have said before on my channel, I really enjoy the series very much. I think that the premise of the series is great. I can understand why people don't like the series, and I say this a lot, and this might be the last time that I'm saying this because I really want to own up to the fact that I actually really enjoy this series. Are there some moments where characters are a bit strange or acting a bit sort of not the way that they should be? Yeah, of course, but I still really love this series. I think that the world building is amazing. I don't think that objectively it's the best writing out there, but that doesn't stop it from being one of my favorite series of all time. The third prompt is Netflix, and that is a series that you haven't started yet but that you want to. For this, I am actually going to be choosing The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a series that ever since I started booktube, or like way earlier than that, is something that's been mentioned like very, very often. It's a series that I've heard thrown around, also on Goodreads and also on Twitter, and you know, it's just always come up as one of those like basic YA books, I guess, that everyone should read or has read. So I am definitely excited to pick this book up sometime soon. I actually don't know what the series is about. I know that that's probably like a really big faux pas on my end, but I would like to know what all the hype is about. I haven't yet bought it yet, but I will soon, and maybe you will see me with a review video sometime in the future, I guess. Also, speaking about Netflix, I have actually not been watching so much Netflix. I switched over to Amazon Prime for the time being because they have Once Upon a Time on Prime there, but I would be really interested in knowing what you guys are currently watching, what you guys are Netflixing, what you guys are Amazon Priming, what you guys are streaming, like whatever. I currently am watching Once Upon a Time, which is one of my favorite shows as well. I'm currently on season 6, and I am currently also watching a new show that has just come out, which is Fort Salem Motherland, which is super interesting. It's built around this principle that the Salem trials basically didn't end up killing those witches, but that they made this like treaty with America, and I guess it's former president, that these witches would then draft themselves into the army and fight for the United States of America. And we basically follow 3 of these girls who are witches and are basically pledge their oath to the government and to the military, and then they go and meet one another. They are basically one unit, and it's super interesting. It's a concept that I've never really considered. Not only does it include magic, which is super awesome, although I don't really think that their magic is like super stereotypically magic or even witchy. It's a lot more, it's to do with like their voices, like almost like sirens. And second of all, it basically smashes the patriarchy in its face by having a show that is all about women in the military, which is also super awesome. But yeah, please leave your current watches down below. I'd love to know what you guys are watching, and maybe I could get some good recommendations. The next prompt is deep clean, or cleaning your house, going crazy, sweeping the floors, wiping the cabinets, whatever. It is a book that has been on your TBR forever, or for a really long time. And I have a book that has been in my TBR for maybe 5-6 years. There's some books that I've had on my TBR that like I've had on my TBR longer than that, but I think that eventually I got rid of them just because they've been on my TBR for so long. This is one of the books that has been on my TBR for the longest period of time. I actually started reading it when I first bought it a couple years ago, but then I think things came up. This book was really long, the pages were big and the font was small, but I definitely wanted to give it another try, and that is Outlander by Deanna Gabaldon. So I bought this book because I think the TV series was about to come out and it was being raved about by certain booktubers. So I was like, hey, you know, why not give it a try? But I think that when I bought this book and started reading it, it just wasn't really my cup of tea at that point. I was a lot younger. I was still, I think, in school, high school. I don't know when I'll get to the series. Don't know if I actually want to read it anytime soon. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this book. I feel like I should read it because it's been on my shelf. I want to read it, but I don't know when I will yet because it's very, very intimidating. The next prompt is Animal Crossing, which is one of my favorite new games that I've been playing. Super awesome. I'm really glad this made it into the tag, but it is basically a book that you picked up recently because of the hype around the book. And I actually don't have that many books that I purchased recently for a hype. I definitely have some books in the past that I purchased because of a hype. And I don't think that books like Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas and The Betrothed by Kiera Cass can really count because these are both authors that I have followed and that I'm interested in reading, so I don't think that I bought those purely for the hype, even though I did purchase them recently. I'm going to be choosing a book that I did buy quite recently, and that I have heard many things about in the booktube community. Also, I don't know much about the series, as kind of a bit like the Raven Boys, but at least it is a book that I have on my shelf and that I'm going to be planning on reading next week, if the time allows it, and that is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is basically one of those series that I am super ashamed of that I haven't actually read yet. I have heard this book mentioned very often. It has appeared in a lot of like people's favorites YA books. I think it is definitely one of those like typical, classic, basic YA books, and because I'm a sucker for the hype, for people's recommendations, for I guess I just also just like reading the stuff that people have read and that, you know, I guess has ended up being quite popular. I picked this book up and I'm quite excited to get to it because this is also, I think, one a series that has been on my TBR for a long time, but it is recently bought for a hype, so I think it counts. The next prompt is productivity. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been especially productive in these last couple weeks. I have become like the most lazy version of myself. I have become such a half-assed like person. I'm reading a lot and stuff, but I'm definitely not as productive as I used to be. I don't know why. I think it's just the laziness monster coming out, you know, out of me. But basically this prompt is a book that you have learned from or that has taught you something. I'm not one of those people who, you know, I'm not one of those people who's like read a lot of classics, a lot of those books that like makes you think a lot. Maybe there are better answers out there, but for this book I'm going to be choosing The School for Good and Evil by Salman Chainani. If you haven't heard of The School for Good and Evil yet, it is basically this series that is about these two girls, Agatha and Sophie. Sophie is kind of like your typical girly girl, princess, blonde hair, makeup, you know? And Agatha is a bit more kind of creepy. Her mom, you know, people call her like a witch. She's a bit distant, you know, is sort of more of like a typical evil, silent, brooding, mysterious character. They are best friends, however. And in their forest, there is this school for good and evil where you have the children of fairy tale characters, as well as I think just general fairy tale side characters, I think, or like their children or people who are like that age. They go to this school and there is basically the school for good and the school for evil. And, you know, as the school name sort of suggests, the people who are good go to the school for good and they learn how to be good. They learn how to be princesses and knights in shining armor. And the school for bad or evil is where, you know, the witches go, where they learn how to cast curses. This school is kind of like mysterious, where the place where Sophie and Agatha live, they don't really believe in that, or they do believe in that, but they don't really think that this school really exists, because basically what happens is that every, I think 5 years, 10 years, I'm not sure, two girls of this village have always gone missing, one good and one evil, so they speculate that they've been taken to this school for good and evil, even though they can't really prove it. But basically, in 1 year, Agatha and Sophie are taken to the school for good and evil, and contrary to what they think, Sophie is put in the school for evil and Agatha is put in the school for good, even though their personalities, their personas, their appearances, for all purposes, intents and sakes, they should actually be in the other school. And the reason why I chose this book is because I think this book really made me think about what is good and what is evil. This book deals a lot with this principle of black and whiteness in our society, or in our, whether you're really good or whether you're really evil. And this book really challenges that stereotype. It basically exposes the fact that maybe something good can be done with evil intentions, and like, is that good, is that evil? Friendship, love, romance, how far are you gonna go? You know, can someone who's evil be best friends with someone who's good? And I honestly, even though this book didn't teach me a lot, you know, about the world, because I know that, obviously I know that the world is not black and white, I know that the world is gray, I know that good and evil aren't these like super universal concepts that, you know, maybe fairy tales make it out to be. But I definitely feel like this book really makes you take a step back and think about this, and that is why I have included this book as my answer for my prompt. The next prompt is Facetime, and that is a book that you have been gifted by someone else. And for this book, or for this prompt, I'm going to be choosing Alienated by Melissa Landers. I was going through my TBR a while ago, and this book was also on it, or has been on it for a while. And when my then boyfriend, now husband, asked me like what I wanted for Christmas or what I wanted for my birthday, I'm not sure whether it was my birthday or Christmas, I basically told him like, oh, I just love a book that, you know, I haven't read yet. And so he went through my TBR and he chose to give me this book. And I haven't actually read it yet. I am planning on reading it relatively soon. I'm not sure whether it's a good book or not, so maybe you guys can leave me your thoughts down below. But yeah, it's a book that I was gifted. I am interested in getting to it sometime soon, and yeah, I have nothing else to say about this except for the fact that I was gifted this book. So the next slash last slash second last prompt is self-care, which is to just name a thing that you have done for yourself as a self-care thing in this time when we are currently all staying at home. Well, I have a couple of things that I've been doing, like reading, cooking, sleeping longer, but I specifically started doing some yoga recently. I started, this is something that I've been meaning to do for like a really long time because I'm always like, oh, yoga's so good, it's so good for your mind and body and like flexibility and stuff. Like people have been saying that to me, but it wasn't until I think like a week ago or 2 weeks ago that I actually sat down, I took my yoga mat out, which I bought like a year ago and never used. And then I switched on a YouTube tutorial, and I think I've done like 3 or 4 sessions so far, and it's really, really fun. It's really, really relaxing. It's oddly painful for the simplicity of it, but I have enjoyed it and look forward to continuing doing that as well. And then last but not least, there is a bonus sort of question, which is to name a book that you are excited about coming out soon. And this is to encourage us to still talk about, you know, and be excited and bring out like sort of like hype up books that are coming out soon, even though book authors can't currently tour around so much and they probably can't market their books in the same way that they would be able to do if the virus currently wasn't keeping us all indoors. But for this, I am going to be going for probably one of the most anticipated books of the whole year, and that is The Songbird. I said it wrong already the first time. That is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susanna Collins. I can't tell you guys how excited I am for this book. The Hunger Games is one of my favorite series of all time. So when I heard that a new book was coming out, I was like all over it. I was like, give me that shit. I'm a bit hesitant knowing who it's about. I'm not like as reserved about it as like other people might be, because I know that you can have great villain origin stories without obviously supporting the villain from like a psychological point of view, since I do psychology as a major. It is interesting obviously always to know like where someone's villainry comes from, and so I am interested in reading this book. I am excited. It hasn't actually arrived yet. It hasn't actually come out yet. I think it's coming out like May 19th, 15th. Wait, today's the 14th, maybe the 20th, I'm not sure. But either way, I am very excited for this book to come out. So that was the stay-at-home tag. So I'm going to be tagging 2 people to do this tag. The first is Holly over at As Read by Holly, and the second tag is Emmy Rose over at Emmy Rose Reads. I hope that you guys also enjoy doing this tag as much as I enjoyed doing this tag. I think it's really great to, you know, see the positive currently in this time where things might not seem so positive right now. Not in any way to neglect or to minimize the pain that people are going through, but also to acknowledge that even through the darkest times, there's always, you know, a silver lining. And I think that us getting together, doing book tags, sharing our love for things is something that we should continuously do, you know, even if times are a bit fucked up, basically. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this tag and this video. If I haven't tagged you, but you feel like doing this video, consider yourself tagged. Boop. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope that you guys are having a great morning, afternoon, evening, nap in bed, a stay at home, I don't know, Netflixing marathon, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you guys with a new video soon. Bye!